The courtroom was silent except for my husband laughing across the table. He looked straight at the judge and said she was never a real soldier. She was only a secretary in uniform. His attorney smirked. Even the people sitting behind us looked bored. I said nothing. I slowly reached into my folder and placed one old photograph on the table. The attorney picked it up. His face lost all color. He stood so quickly that his chair crashed onto the floor. Then he looked at the judge and whispered, "Your Honor, I need a moment." My husband stopped smiling because for the first time he realized he never truly knew the woman he had married. Stay until the end because what happened next changed every life inside that courtroom forever. For years, I allowed people to believe I had an ordinary military career. It was easier that way. The missions I completed were never meant for newspapers or family conversations. My records were short. My medals stayed locked away. My silence protected people who would never know my name. When I met my husband, he loved telling everyone he supported a military wife. At first, he respected my privacy. Later, he began questioning it. He wanted stories. He wanted proof. He wanted attention more than truth. Whenever someone thanked me for my service, he laughed and said she only pushed paperwork. Nothing dangerous ever happened to her. I smiled because I had signed documents promising I would never reveal certain operations. My silence became his weapon. Years passed and our marriage slowly collapsed. It was never about money. It was never about work. It was about respect. He mocked my nightmares. He mocked the scars hidden beneath my sleeves. He mocked the days when loud noises made me freeze. Finally, he filed for divorce. He believed the courtroom would be his stage. His attorney planned to destroy my credibility by arguing that I exaggerated my military background to gain sympathy. As the hearing began, my husband confidently repeated the same words he had used for years. She was a secretary, not a soldier. The courtroom became quiet. The judge looked toward me expecting an emotional reaction. Instead, I calmly opened my folder. Inside was one faded photograph taken many years earlier during a classified operation. Only a few faces appeared in the picture. One of those faces belonged to a highly decorated officer whose name every military lawyer recognized. The attorney stared at it. His expression changed immediately. He asked permission to approach the bench. The judge carefully examined the photograph. She looked back at me and quietly asked one question. "Where did you get this?" I answered, "I was there." The courtroom became completely silent. My husband laughed nervously, believing it was another bluff. Then the attorney whispered something into his ears. The smile disappeared from my husband's face. He suddenly realized the photograph was not ordinary. It connected me to an operation known only by a handful of people. The attorney requested a private conference with the judge. For nearly 20 minutes, everyone waited. No one spoke. When they returned, the judge's attitude had completely changed. She addressed me with a level of respect no one had shown all morning. My husband looked confused. His attorney refused to ask another question about my military service. Instead, he completely changed the direction of the case. That was the moment my husband understood his biggest mistake. He had spent years insulting someone whose greatest achievements could never be discussed. As evidence continued to appear, the truth slowly unfolded. Medical records confirmed injuries received during overseas deployment. Letters from commanding officers praised extraordinary courage. Witness statements described acts of leadership under impossible conditions. Every document destroyed another lie. My husband lowered his head. The courtroom no longer saw me as the woman he described. They saw someone who had quietly carried impossible burdens without asking for recognition. The judge eventually ruled on the divorce. She reminded everyone that service is measured by sacrifice, not by public attention. She also noted that confidential duty does not make service less honorable. When the hearing ended, my husband tried speaking to me. For the first time, I simply walked away. I no longer needed his apology. Respect earned through years of sacrifice could never be taken away by one careless sentence. Some victories are not won by shouting louder than your enemies. They are won by staying silent until the truth speaks for itself. My husband believed my greatest weakness was my silence. He never realized it was protecting a story far bigger than his pride. The photograph did not destroy him. His own arrogance did.